Um, Happy Sunday, everybody. Happy Innerspace journeys. I'm really excited to spend some time with you today. As always, we will be posting the replay on YouTube. The newsletter, the playlist for these replays is the Innerspace Journeys replay or playlist. So if you ever want to replay it or re-listen to it, or you miss part of it, then you can always go to my YouTube, Amar Energy, and you can listen to the replays there. As always, we gather here to wait, where's that's what I'm looking for. We gather here just to explore, these sessions, these weekly gatherings have proven to be something really, really special. And I'm really enjoying the time that we get to spend together. And what I find so wonderful about it, I mean, part of it anyway, is that you get to have your own experience with whatever it is that we're talking about today. And I hope, as always, with everything that I share, that within whatever is transmitted today, whatever we share today, there will be something that will activate some sort of a remembrance or shift or some sort of catalytic process within you that highlights something for you, sparks some sort of insight or remembrance, et cetera, et cetera. So your participation is entirely voluntary. You can sit with your camera off in total silence, not participating in, dialogue or, discussion. You can be active, whatever feels appropriate for you, whatever you feel inspired or guided to share is perfect. So we usually spend the first part of the session. I'll talk about the topic. We'll start to bring in some energy and some information as I channel whatever wants to come through today. As always, I have some notes I'll be referring to. And then we may have time for discussion. We may not. We'll see how things go. It always depends, but we will have time, and we always make time for the last part of the gathering is the inner space work, right? So we drop in and it's a guided, energetic, sort of meditative experience. So what I'm going to, where's chat? So chat is a great place to share thoughts, ideas, feedback, support. Obviously, I have you all on mute because it's just more efficient rather than having 20-something audio feeds. We just have the one. As always, when we get to the dialogue, question and answer discussion, if there is something you want to offer, you can raise your hand either physically, you can raise the hand on the little toolbar at the bottom, or you could just, unmute yourself and share. So if there's something you want to offer or share, certainly you can put it in the chat. And then when we get into the discussion, obviously we can have a dialogue about it if we want to as well. So as always, these gatherings are free. There's no charge for you to join. If you are not signed up for my newsletter, go ahead and do that because that's where I share the Zoom links every single week. I've also been pretty good about sharing them consistently on YouTube, but be sure to sign up for the newsletter because that's where they will always come through. And then as we move into the space, there is a Stripe link and a PayPal link. If you feel guided to make a donation, you certainly are welcome to. And thank you to everybody who has been so gracious and so generous with your donations. It really, really means a lot to me, and I always appreciate it. So thank you. In terms of what's going to happen today, we chat, we bring in the energies, we discuss, and then we go into the energy work. You may want to have pen and paper close by, something you can write on if any insight or notes or something comes through that you want to, jot down. Certainly have that close. I'm just kind of a nerd when it comes to note taking, so I always have notes close by. Plus, I'm a kinesthetic learner, so if someone's speaking to me and I'm supposed to be absorbing information, I need to be doodling. I need to be doing something physical while I am hearing the information in order for my body to really absorb it. So you can also bring in any talismans, any crystals, any sacred objects, light a candle, burn some incense, smudge your space, bang a gong, whatever helps you feel more connected and more in the space for today's gathering. You can do that now. God, I just feel like I ran a verbal marathon. Okay, now it's more of a sprint, actually. That's not a marathon. You've heard me talk. I could go for hours. Actually, I could go for days. You remember like back in the 50s and 60s, they used to have those dance-a-thons where you would just dance until you couldn't dance anymore. We should have a speak-a-thon and see who can just talk until they can't fucking talk anymore. I would win. I'll tell you that right now. I will be the gold medalist. The most talkative earthling out of all 8 billion of us. That's me. Okay. So welcome everybody. I'm feeling a little bit crazy lately, wacky. So the unknown, that's what we're going to talk about today. So first, show of hands, who's terrified of the unknown? Right. Yes. Thank you for your honesty. Right. Kind of sweaty armpits, dry mouth, sweaty palms. Oh my God, what's going on? I'm freaked out. Pit in the stomach, butterflies in the stomach. Fabulous. Then you're in the right place. You know, the unknown, I think it's kind of a silly thing when you think about it. So let's just set the stage. Imagine, if you will, or I should do Prince, dig, if you will, a picture. So imagine you're this magical being and you are essentially made of light. You are limitless. You can change your shape. You can change your form. You can change everything about your physical appearance. You can even have a non-physical appearance. You can have no appearance. Like you literally are just a field of energy who can concentrate and densify, or what's the word, what's the opposite of concentrate? Dilute. And what's the word of opposite of densify? Aerate to yourself. I don't know. You could be whatever you want. You could be a cloud. You could be a stone. You could be a bird. You could be a tree. You could be a rainbow. You could be a breeze. So you exist in this reality of pristine perfection, right? Where all that you desire is not only instantly yours, but everything you desire is innately aligned with divinity itself. That is to say, you're not in a space where you're interested in breaking universal laws. You're not in a space where you're interested in corrupting things or falsifying things. You're just in a place where all is well, it always is, and you are basically anything you want to be, do, or create, or you wish can be yours in an instant. After a while, you might long for something else. You know, when I was a kid, I loved ice cream. But I imagine now as an adult eating ice, and as a kid, if you had given me ice cream for every meal, I would gladly have eaten it. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner every single day. But that wouldn't have been healthy, right? The idea that I could only eat that is not going to be a healthy life. It's not going to be enough to subsist on. So at some point, you're going to long for something else. At some point, even though the very thing that you so want so desperately and so deeply, and you finally get it, even that after a while is going to become a little bit boring. So you just decide that you want something else. Like, what else is there, right? You have a curiosity. And those curiosities begin to emerge in the form of a question such as, what would it be like to not get what I want? What would it be like to have an experience of feeling lost or separate? What does challenge or difficulty feel like? I've never been afraid. What does fear feel like? I've never had a physical body. What is it like to be bound by physicality or to believe that you are bound by physicality? This is essentially, from my perspective, and I don't think that this is literal, but from my perspective, that's kind of the experience that we go through when we decide to incarnate into a lifetime, an experience. I know how to be endless. I am. I know how to be infinite. I am. So, what would be the opposite of that? Experiencing limitation, not being infinite, being an infinite being who came into an experience which is finite, that has a very clear beginning and middle and end. It's essentially like this scavenger hunt that we decide to set up for ourselves. And we hide all sorts of reminders and all sorts of activators and all sorts of triggers to remind us or to wake us up or to bring us back to that center. Because remember, when I'm not in a body, when I'm not in a being, when I'm in that one, that pool of all that is, I'm not separate. I have no real needs. Everything that I am, everything that I need, I am connected to all. So separation suddenly sounds more interesting, right? If I can do anything, probably get a little bored after a while. So what would it be like to have to wait for something? If I know that time doesn't exist and that I am timeless and eternal and infinite, multidimensionally in all directions simultaneously, then what would it be like to only know myself as a singular being, to have one perspective, right? I think you get the point. The point is that the unknown is what we come for. The forgetting and the temporary amnesia is why we come here. I kind of think of it like an Olympic athlete going to race against first graders. It would be fun for a while, right? We could laugh and I could pretend to run really slow and I could pretend to fall and I could let the kids run faster and think that they're going to beat me. And I might even let them beat me. But after a while, it's going to get really boring. Pretending that I am not a professional athlete or one of the fastest people on the planet is going to get a little old for a while. So the unknown, and I want to ask, and you can just put this in the chat, what is it about the unknown that is so scary? And if your answer is, I don't know, bonus points to you. And you may not know. It may just be this existential sense of, oh, I'm scared. The unknown scares me. I don't know why, it just does. But what is it about the unknown that scares us? So Candy says, I think it's my mind trying to figure stuff out, which makes perfect sense, especially in a society which has elevated the intellectual perspective to the be-all, end-all pinnacle of human ability, which is so incorrect. The intellect is probably the weakest center of perception that we have. And it's also the most easily manipulated. So Lisa says control, the need of control. One of my favorites. My God, I lived on a diet of control and criticism for most of my 20s and 30s. The conditioning, so Nicole says the conditioning of fear that started in childhood. Yeah, right? Don't be afraid of be afraid of the dark. Don't go, you don't know who lives there. You don't know what's around that corner. You don't know what's going to happen. Don't do that. All of these, I think, are really, really valid reasons, especially to the mind, and especially from the human perspective. And especially from the perspective of the limited human. So the fear of the unknown is a real fear. But is the experience of the unknown, is it ever as scary as we think it's going to be? Now, look, if I'm only perceiving myself through the lens of the mind, if I'm only perceiving myself through my history, because this is the other thing about the mind, the inherent baked in limitation of the mind, of our mental ability, is that it can only know things historically. So the mind can only look backwards. And when it tries to look forward, the only thing that it has at its disposal to figure out what's in front of it or what might be coming is by using the overlay and the template of our history and putting that in front of us and looking through that. So the mind says, well, the last time we were in a situation that was like this, something bad happened, so it's probably going to happen again. Or I've been told my whole life that if I do this, then this thing will happen. And I've never challenged it. So all I have is the reference. You see, so it's all about our programming. This is where the programming lives. And then eventually it makes its way into the body. But the mind only knows things in reverse. So when I'm asking you, hey, what are you going to do? Let's try something new. Let's do something we've never done before. What is the first thing most of us do? We go into our head. What haven't I done before? It's like in my newsletter this morning, I wrote, how do you know what you don't know? You don't. And that's the whole point. We come here for the experience of remembering. We come here for the challenge, for the obstacle course of rediscovering who we are. And Candy hit the nail on the head. The unknown is always better than I imagined it to be. I love this exercise, and I used to do this one quite a bit. And I used to share this with people and recommend that they do it. If you were to sit down today and write down like your top 10 biggest fears of this moment right here, right now, where you are in your life, and you were to seal it up in an envelope and mail it to yourself, and then sit with it and not open it or touch it for 6 months. And then if you were to open that letter 6 months from the date that you wrote it, I guarantee you that nothing on that list would have come true. At least not in the way that you think it would have. See, the mind is trying to predict what's coming, but all it has is our history. So it has no way of knowing how I can be, or how I've never been, or how else I can be. It only knows what it has done. So essentially, learning, remembering how to dance with the unknown is just closing your eyes, plugging your nose, and jumping in. Osiris used to say this all the time. You can walk around the pool, the swimming pool for years trying to figure out how to get wet, figure out how to swim, figure out how to get in there. And at some point, the only way you're going to figure it out is just by jumping in the pool. How do I get wet? By jumping in the pool. But how do I do that? By jumping in the pool. But what is jumping in the pool? You jump in the pool. But at some point, you just have to do it. At some point, there will be no more questions to your answers. The unknown is exactly that. I don't know. What's going to happen when you get there? I don't know. What are you going to do on the way? I don't know. Why are you going? Well, aside from the fact that I want to, I don't know. I don't know are three of the most powerful words that we have, and we are so terrified of them. Why? You are God in a body. You are the creator. You are the being that created yourself and the environment that you are currently experiencing yourself within. You are the being who built the theater and the stage and the audience and wrote the script. You are the lighting and the costuming and the hair and the makeup and the ushers and the box office people and the players and the directors you're all of it. So what on earth could you possibly be afraid of? Because whatever it is that you perceive you're afraid of, you also created. Yeah. Elisa says, in this society, everything is expected to be figured out before anyone does it. Again, because we've elevated the intellect. And no offense to anybody that is educated. Both of my parents were teachers. My mother's a PhD. You can teach a monkey how to take a test. Education essentially is just memorization and regurgitation. Now, I'm not saying that it's not necessary. I'm not saying that education is a bad thing. And yeah, I'm not going to go to a doctor that hasn't been to medical school. But this idea that because I have this rarefied intellect, no, you don't. All you fucking know is what was poured down your throat and then you regurgitated. As long as you can memorize things, you can get a degree. So this idea that the intellect is the final pinnacle stop of our awareness, that is so false. And what do we do when we have a problem, right? A societal or existential problem? What do? We get together the smartest people on the planet, the most educated people on the planet, and what do? They cart out all the things that already haven't worked for the past 500 years, take them apart, bolt them back together in some sort of Frankenstein monster solution, and call it ingenuity. No. All you did was repackage the same crap that already hasn't worked. The people I respect are the ones that lead with their ignorance. I don't know why I'm here. I'm just called to, and I'm willing to be here. And yeah, I might be uncomfortable. And yeah, I might be awkward, but I'm here and I'm staying. I don't know is powerful. Try it. This week, when you're asked a question, I don't know. I don't know. And watch people squirm. I don't know. What? You don't know? Well, what are you doing? I don't know. Well, why aren't you freaked out? I don't know. Why are you so calm? I don't know. But I am starting to question why I'm still talking to you. So the idea of the unknown, there's nothing wrong with the unknown. And ignorance, we have somehow turned ignorance into a bad thing. Raise your hand if you were born knowing how to drive a car. Raise your hand if you were born knowing how to eat with a fork, or speak your native language, or tie your shoe, or go to the bathroom. That's what I thought. We were all ignorant to the human experience when we were born. Celebrate that ignorance. It's worthy. I don't know, but I'm going to figure it out. I don't know, but I'm going to show up and we'll see what happens. And so there's an interesting thing that happens. And we talked about chaos recently. We've talked about surrender recently. The unknown requires a surrender of our illusion of control. Because you know my favorite saying, you never had control. You only had anxiety about the things you wanted to control. So it requires a surrender of our belief that we're in control, which almost always is going to poke at part of our identity that we're really invested in, right? Oh, I'm the smart one. I'm the educated one. I'm the one that always knows. I'm the one that always has an answer. I'm the one that always has it figured out. What if you're not? Because that's a problem with being the smartest one in the room is there's always going to be someone smarter than you. So whatever your identity is, it's the identity that is threatened by the unknown. So we talk about chaos and we were talking about like, what's the point of chaos? Why? Well, chaos often brings us to the unknown. Chaos is when I have run out of excuses. I have a client who is stepping into her healing practice, and she had a head injury several years ago, which essentially kind of rendered her mental capacity beyond just basic functioning. She couldn't really do it. She couldn't think her way through it. She literally had to get out of her head. And that was about 5 years ago. We were talking about it recently. We had a session, and she was saying, I feel like, and this was the message I was getting too, was that part of the reason that she got the head injury was because it forced her to move into other parts of her sensing and receiving. Suddenly, she has to listen with her body, with her energy field, with her gut. She's tapped into other levels of awareness and information that are not mental. It forced her to just show up and be present and not think about it. So 5 years ago, it was trauma, it was illness, it was suffering and difficulty, it was pain and challenge. 5 years later, it's the best thing that ever happened to her. Because now she knows how to be a healer. Now she understands how to empty herself out to get out of the mind and to let herself be used as a vessel for the divine. The unknown is where miracles exist. Because what is the miraculous? Extraordinary, unusual, unexpected, out of the ordinary, divine intervention. I promise you that's not going to happen on the same old worn path. Not knowing and being honest about not knowing and embracing that not knowing invites the divine to co-create and collaborate. When you say, Spirit, I don't know, I need help. Please remind me. Please show me. Please illustrate or illuminate what I seem to have forgotten. So the unknown is where everything that we desire exists. Because if you already had it, you wouldn't be standing on the precipice of the unknown. The unknown presents itself as a divine emissary to usher us into the new reality, the new experience, and it requires our surrender. And surrender is not, I give up. Surrender is, I give in. So the unknown is where the untapped potential lives. The unknown is the superposition, right? If we're talking about physics and quantum theory and Schrodinger's cat, which is related to that, right? Is the cat alive or dead? Yes. The superposition is the zero. It is all potential existing simultaneously until a decision, a judgment, a choice, or a belief is activated. So you think of it as like the unfertilized egg. It can be anything. It is just potential waiting to be catalyzed. And the minute that I decide, oh, that's not going to happen, or I don't like this, or oh, I'm unlucky, or oh, I'm a success, or oh, yeah, whatever we decide, then suddenly all other potential collapses. And we are left with the reflection of our decision, our belief, etc. So the longer I can go without deciding or judging or choosing, the more I can keep that state of untapped, unrealized potential sustained and suspended. And if I can maintain that space long enough, guess what starts to happen? It shows me what is possible. Because not making a choice is a choice, not deciding is a decision. So when I just say, I'm here to interface with all of the potential, I'm here to interface with what could be. So I'm going to let it be everything as long as I can. Because what didn't I know? What don't I know? So can you feel this as I'm sharing with you? Can you feel that invitation of the unknown beginning to move into your space? And here's the thing, it exists. You are more space than you are matter. You are made of the unknown. If we were to zoom in on any part of our bodies under a really, really powerful microscope, we would see some molecules and some atoms, but what we would see more of is the space between them. So when we invite the unknown, when we allow space for it, and we understand that all it is possibility and potential, it shows us what our bias is. Because the unknown is the unknown. And whatever I bring into the unknown is what it becomes. So when I stay connected and in a place of expanded neutrality, then I get to dance with possibility. It hasn't become a choice yet. There's no outcome yet because we're still just playing and dancing. So can we sustain our willingness to be surprised, our willingness to receive the miraculous, our willingness to receive direct support? The more neutral and undecided I am in those moments, the more possibility and potential are available to me. So we talked about the chaos one a couple of weeks ago, whenever it was, and the idea of just little bits like sips of chaos, right? When I was saying just like be a little chaotic. Like if you have a morning routine where you always do things in the same order, in the same way, reverse them, do them out of order. Make your coffee on the left side of the kitchen instead of the right, whatever. These small, small little deviations from what is expected or what is predictable or what you have patterned your life to be is what opens up the unknown. You can invite it. You don't have to wait for it to knock on the door. That's why I say, my favorite quote, when you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. That's why athletes practice and performers rehearse, so that by the time it's game day or opening night, I'm not worried about my lines. I'm not worried about what it feels like when I'm in the zone. I'm not trying to find my space of connectedness. I already know what that feels like. So now when it's critical and crucial and I really have to step up, I'm ready to go. And now this can be fun. So when I learn how to engage with chaos and the unknown, and I actually make space for them, now it's a relationship. Now it's conscious and deliberate and on purpose. Now I've given myself the luxury, the blessing, the grace of time, right? Because, okay, I have an hour today. I don't have to do anything. Where can I start to dance with the unknown, or where can I start to take little sips of chaos? So I become friends with it. So we know each other, we recognize each other. And here's another piece. The more willing we are to dance with the unknown, the more likely it is that we are going to continue to recall and remember. Because here's an interesting thing, and I talked about this idea of potential. Yesterday, I did a live stream on my YouTube channel for the 2024 energy update, just kind of tapping into where the energies are so far and what I see. And we talked a lot about potential today, right? We've talked a lot about possibility. And one of the examples that I was using yesterday was the potential to be a parent exists, right? Whether a natural child, an adopted child, a family member that you just kind of have a parental relationship with, the potential to be a parent exists. Now, if you never find yourself in a position of being a parent, that potential doesn't need to be unlocked. There's no need for it. And anyone who is a parent, especially the first time you were a parent, you could read books, you could talk to other parents, you could talk to your parents, you could do a lot of researching and a lot of gathering of knowledge, but ultimately, you don't know how true any of it is until you are actually a parent. Ultimately, the knowledge and the wisdom that you have access to of how to be a parent bubbles up when you become a parent. And we love that from our humans. Okay, tell me how to be a parent and then I'll be a parent. Tell me how to be successful and then I'll be successful. Tell me how to be happy and then I'll be happy. Tell me how to be free and then I'll be free. My God, have we not learned by now that's not how it works? It's just not how it works because you are the creator. So you're saying to yourself, tell me how to create this thing that I don't know how to create, and then I'll create it. And you're going, girl, did you just hear what you fucking said to me? You said to me, I don't know how to be a creator. So tell me how to be a creator, and then I'll be a creator. You just have to do it. If you want to be a singer, you have to sing. If you want to be a dancer, you have to dance. If you want to be free, you have to live as one who is free. If you want to be successful, you have to live as one who is convinced of their own success. And certainly we can take others' examples as a template and we can start with how they did it and then kind of figure it out as we go. But if you're waiting for an instruction manual, get comfortable. Get comfortable. So, how do we do this? How do we actively engage with the unknown? I'm glad you asked. I have some answers. See, all I am is just having a conversation with myself. You're just me and I'm just you. So we're all just talking to ourselves anyway. One of the most powerful ways of how any creative pursuit, writing, gardening, art, sculpture, painting, dance, singing, anything, baking, parenting, keeping something else alive, being responsible for it, whether it's a plant, a goldfish, or a dog, or a horse, or an elephant. And the reason that all of these work is because they're all co-creative processes. None of those exist without the divine spark. I mean, none of any of it exists without the divine spark. But what I'm saying is I can add up 2 and 2 equals 4. I can find those theories and those formulas anywhere, right? There's no unknown in 2 and 2 equals 4. It's always going to be 2 and 2 equals 4. But in baking and art and gardening, things that require me to dance with inspiration, things that require me to dance with impulse, things that require me to have a technique to stand on, but in order to receive something to use that technique upon, I have to be open. I have to be empty. I have another client who's an artist. She's a very successful fine artist. And actually, I have seen this. I have 4 clients right now. One's a writer, 2 are artists, and 1 is a performer. And all of them are going through major, major shifts in their creative voice. Their voices are changing. They're inspired to do new things. They're finding inspiration and information in new areas. Like suddenly the way they've been doing it isn't really how they want to do it anymore. And now they're like, oh my God, I feel but how do I do it? How do I do it? Well, you just let yourself try again. You go back to the beginning. You lean on your technique. You lean on your physical fundamental skills and know that a curved line is always going to be a curved line, but the context within which the curved line exists may be totally different. So you on purpose try something new, do things in ways that you've never done them before, limit yourself on purpose. Bring chaos to your practice on purpose. When I was a makeup artist and a teacher, I used to teach other makeup artists how to be better makeup artists. And one of my favorite exercises that we would do is we would let everyone, okay, pair up, get your model, you're going to do makeup on each other. And then we'd say, okay, go get your products. What are you going to put on this person's face? And then we'd go around to each say, okay, tell me what you're going to do. They would give me this beautiful example, this vision that they were going to share, put on the face. And then I had a grab bag of crazy colors, yellow lipstick, like bright colors, intense colors, ugly colors, not so great colors. And everyone had to pick 2 ingredients, 2 products out of the grab bag, and you have to include that in your makeup. Suddenly, this beautiful natural makeup that you had planned, now you have purple glitter. Now you have bright yellow lipstick, and you have to use it. That's the kind of chaos that I'm talking about. I was never at a loss for amazement when I saw the creative resilience of these artistic individuals being forced to use something that they had not anticipated. And the creative solutions that they came up with and the ways that they figured out how to use it, it blew my mind. So when we force ourselves consciously and on purpose a little beyond a comfort zone, when we make it just a little bit trickier or harder on purpose just because I want to see what I'm made of. Look, I work out. If I worked out with the same weight and the same exercises every single day, it would be very, very specific. It would never challenge me. I would never grow. I would never develop beyond a certain level. So at some point, we have to be willing to go in and say, you know what? I'm going to add 5 more pounds today. And then you would say, but can you do that? I don't know. What's going to happen? I don't know. Is it going to be really heavy? I don't know. I mean, I know it's going to be heavier, right? So I don't know. I don't know. And I would say these days, if you know, what are you doing? If the path you're walking looks familiar, it's not your path. So anything that requires a dance, anything that requires surrendering to the unknown. That's what I love about gardening and farming is I can do all of my research, all of my work. I can spend hours and hours and hours planning and plotting and getting myself ready, having schedules, and all of that is necessary and useful because I have to know what plants need what. And I can do my level best to be the best student of the garden that I could possibly be, and it could still fail. I could still get snow. I could still have a drought. Doesn't mean that I failed. Doesn't mean that I didn't do my work. Doesn't mean that I did not show up consciously and on purpose. Doesn't mean that I wasn't present. It just means the unknown decided to come in and play. So lean into what you don't know. And when you don't know what you don't know, be willing to find out. So, what's coming up as I'm sharing? What's interesting, and just from my perspective, is I love to watch the physical responses to what I say. And I can tell when it's something that really stirs the inner waters because I see people going like, suddenly they're readjusting and changing their positions, or see people kind of like getting small and trying to protect themselves from this trigger. So I know it's moving something. What is it moving? Please, someone say, I don't know. I don't know. Thank you, Water Song. Thank you. And let's also think about this, right? Western education, especially, we are indoctrinated into the idea that if you don't know, oh, you're wrong. Oh, you better find out. Oh, you better do your homework. Oh, what a bad student you are. I barely graduated high school. If it hadn't been for the fact that my mother worked in the administration's office and was in charge of teachers and had to basically beg my math teacher to pass me with a D minus so that I would graduate high school, I wouldn't have graduated. Imagine that, the child of two teachers failing high school. I love the unknown. I think the unknown is fucking sexy. There is nothing less attractive than someone who just gives it all away. I want mystery. I want to discover. I want to know. I want to figure it out for myself. I want you to stand on the other side of the finish line and wave to me. And then I say, how did you get there? And you say, I'm not telling you, but I'll wait here until you get here. I want to figure it out myself, regardless of how angry and frustrated I get when I don't know and spirit won't tell me. I wouldn't have it any other way. Yes, Catherine, it's an experiment. Let's see what happens. I don't know. Let's try it and see. It's recipe testing. You know, I think about this a lot. I am so eternally grateful for the first human who ate the things that we currently eat, because a whole lot of humans had to get sick and die from eating food that was poisonous or not edible to humans. So thank you. Who do we have to thank for the fact that we can eat things and not die? The first person who was willing to go in the unknown and eat a fucking blueberry and go, wow, this tastes good. Maybe we can grow these. Think about that. Tomatoes used to be called death apples because in medieval times, people were eating out of pewter ware, which had lead in it, and the acid from the tomatoes would leach the lead out and people would eat it and get sick. So people thought that tomatoes were poisonous. No, no, they just were being served in the wrong kind of container. So think about the person that was the first one to go, I don't think these kill you. I mean, talk about fucking bravery. Talk about commitment. Here's the other thing. The abilities and the gifts that we all so desperately want and get so excited when they erupt and open up within us, our intuition, our clairvoyance, our sight, or whatever it is, those gifts and abilities have no way of coming online unless we are in a space where they are necessary or helpful or beneficial. I speak from experience. My intuitive gifts have always been with me. They've always been turned on. But in terms of the function of being a healer or a reader or a practitioner, the only way that I was going to ever figure out how that worked and how that happened was by sitting down with my first client. I had no idea what I was doing for like the first 3 years I was doing this. And I'm so glad that I didn't. At the time, I thought that it meant that I wasn't good enough, that I didn't know what I was doing, that I wasn't valuable or trustworthy. What I see now is thank God I didn't know, because that was the only thing that made me willing to dive in. If I had had even a little bit of knowledge or understanding of how to do what I do that was conscious in my mind at that time, I would be in a totally different reality. I would be in a totally different world. But my willingness to dive into what I didn't know and let it guide me and carry me and show me and remind me is what allowed me to come to the place that I am. And I still remember, Spirit, I don't know how to do this. What am I going to do? So I started using Oracle cards because I thought, well, if I'm not receiving messages, at least I'll have a card to talk about. At least I can say, oh, yeah, look at this angel, right? I can make something up about that. So I was just winging it. But what I didn't realize is I already had the ability to just drop into my communication and let it flow. I already knew how to do it. I just didn't know that I knew how to do it. What I realized is all of those years of music lessons that I took, because both my parents were music teachers, that gave me the training that I needed. Because it's the same thing with music. You look at these black notes on a white page and you're supposed to make music out of them. And that requires a simultaneous looking at the left brain at the data on the page, and at the same time letting that influence and guide and direct the fingers to where they needed to go, all the while channeling the energy of the divine. So we know how to do this. It's innate, it's built in. And the only thing the unknown is ever going to reveal to you, any guesses? What you already are. That's the only thing you ever meet in the unknown is more of yourself. And I think that is the number one reason we're so afraid of the unknown is instinctually on a cellular level, we are terrified of who and what we really are. Because what I have found is the liberation of self. Immediately, I have to burn my victim card. Blame and finger pointing is no longer an option. Taking total accountability and responsibility for every choice and every outcome in my experience is required. But regardless of why we may be afraid of the unknown, it exists all the time. It's within us. It's what we were born out of. And the longer I live, the less I know. One of my biggest challenges for myself last year was I wanted to learn how to bake from like the scientific place. Like I wanted to be able to create my own recipes. So I ordered this book, Baking Science, and it basically goes through all the fundamentals of each ingredient and what they do and kind of gives you everything you need to create your own recipes. I still haven't done it because I'm terrified. I'm terrified of failing. I don't want to get it wrong. I don't want to waste the ingredients. So that book sits on my shelf and stares at me every single day, taunting me. Ha ha ha. I'm the unknown you're afraid of. Like, yep, you sure are. I'm going to go make the recipe I already fucking know. Yes, when you know nothing, you know everything. So the unknown will always be an option. It's required. Because how can we move beyond our history without the unknown? So what I'd like to do is take a couple minutes just to take a quick break. Yes, Catherine, I loved it. Catherine saying I was afraid of joining this Zoom, but I said, F it, why not? Exactly. These days, I kind of look for the thing that I'm afraid of, and then I move in that direction. Okay, what's this? What's here? What is this about? I don't know. Figure it out when we get there. So let's take 2 minutes. It's 53, 10:53 my time, whatever time it is, your time is 53. So we'll come back at 55. So if you want to gather sacred objects, find a spot where you can just relax, close your eyes and kick back for the energy work. You may want to have some water handy too. We'll take 2 minutes break and then we'll come back and we'll do our inner space. Okay. There's one more thing I wanted to share. Um, I often see this and in my practice, right? Either we are looking at someone and saying, why are they in that job that they hate? Why are they in that relationship where they're so miserable or so disrespected? Or I have clients coming to me saying, why am I continuing to repeat the same things over and over? Why am I stuck in these patterns? It's because it's what we know. When we let our unconscious direct us, we have the experience of being imprisoned at our life. We are at the mercy of our whims and our desires and our behaviors. But when we begin to really accept and acknowledge that I'm choosing this experience at some level, and acknowledging that there are parts within all of us that thrive in challenge and difficulty and suffering, because if we were raised in those environments, that's what is familiar. That's what we know. And the mind does not care if we are happy. The mind only cares that our experience is one that it can understand and control. So if that means that I end up in behaviors, patterns, relationships, experiences, jobs, whatever, that repeat and mimic and mirror the suffering and trauma and wounding of my earlier years, it's not because I'm a glutton for punishment. It's not because I'm stupid or don't get it or can't see. That's what I know. That's where the mind knows itself and understands its role and its identity. And if you change the context, suddenly I don't know who I am in this space. Some people don't know what it is to feel love. And so for them to find love is nearly impossible because they have no frame of reference for it. They don't know what it looks like. They don't know what it feels like or sounds like or tastes like. It would be like me sending you to the grocery store to buy chocolate cake when you have no idea what chocolate cake is. You're going to bring me ground beef, carrots, and toilet bowl cleaner. Is this it? I don't know. I just went for what I knew. So the unknown can be a space of creating a life that feels like the one that we want. But I can't create a new reality from the same old stuff. I'll share this real quick before we dive in. In my book, Notes from the Higher Self, note number 9, whenever possible, stay focused on the unknown. Seldom do you create anything extraordinary from what you already know. Consider that if what you're seeking was to be found in what you already know, you'd probably have it by now. Dig deeper, peel back the layers, try moving in a new direction. Stepping into the unknown is never easy, but who wants easy? You're extraordinary. You came here to challenge yourself, so stop playing it safe. And on that note, we'll dive in. So kick back and relax. As long as you can hear me, that's all that matters. So if you want to turn off your camera, you can. Make sure that you have all your devices turned off or on airplane mode if you're not using them. so you won't be rudely interrupted. Make sure that all of mine are off. Yes, they are. All right. Let's go ahead and kick back. Get comfortable. We'll just start with the breath as we always do. Breathing in nice and deep. Breathing in fully and completely as much as you can. And as you're breathing, become aware of how deep your breath can go. Does it stop at like the chest and the shoulders and the sternum? If it does, see if you can drop your shoulders, open your chest, and breathe a little bit deeper. Draw it down into the belly. Breathing nice and deep, draw it down into the pelvis. Breathing nice and deep. See with the next inhale if you can draw that breath all the way down to the bottoms of your feet. And then just let it all go. There we go. Just find that point of connection within yourself. Just allow yourself to drop into alignment, to drop into stillness, and just breathe. There we go. Just let those inner waters go nice and quiet and still. There we go. And just feel yourself settling in to the body. And as you're breathing, just feel any tension or restriction, any resistance, just feel it melting away. And as you're breathing and connecting, begin to invite this idea of the unknown to reveal itself. You don't have to do anything. Simply just breathe and watch what happens. We just invite the unknown into the space. We can make a couple of assumptions. The unknown is an emissary of the divine. The unknown is here to assist and support you in moving beyond. And the unknown simply is, it's a force of nature. It's not good, it's not evil, it's not right, it's not wrong, it's not light, it's not dark, it just is. It exists. It's like the weather. The rain isn't out to get you, it just rains. And your experience of the rain is entirely yours. And however you feel about it, or decide what the rain means, or if you take it personally, that all creates your experience of the weather. It's the same with the unknown. If you believe that the unknown is a punishment, that it's scary, you're right. If you believe that the unknown is an invitation, that it's where the miraculous and possibilities exist, then you're right. So just breathe into not knowing. Allow the unknown to simply come and rest beside you. The unknown asks you to consider the questions: what else is possible? What haven't I tried? Where have I not allowed myself to receive? Where have I not allowed myself to release and let go? There we go, just softening a little bit more in the face of the unknown. Just breathing a little bit easier in the face of the unknown as we ask it to come just a bit closer. We invite it to move in just a little bit. And as we continue to breathe, inviting the unknown to actually merge and unite with our field and our form. Welcoming it and understanding that we can make a place for it. And the unknown can move from the idea of a threat or dangerous or scary to a helper, to a guide, to a leader, to a force and a being that can offer pure potential and possibility. When we step into the unknown, our abilities to create suddenly come online. Our innate gifts that allow us to interface and connect with energies and information and beings of all sorts of flavors and geometries, they open up, they blossom. If all I'm doing is the same old every single day, there is nothing within me that is required to expand or move my experience beyond the day to day. The unknown is the realm of inspiration. It's the realm of the muse. It's the realm of epiphany. The creative spark doesn't want to simply recreate the same thing over and over. Think about everything that's been written from the same 26 letters of our alphabet. The unknown is infinite. It sees nothing but potential. It sees nothing but possibility. The unknown doesn't even recognize limitations. But just breathe and allow the unknown to begin to dance with you. As you breathe and expand your field, set the intention to make room for the unknown. Set the intention to allow it to come into your space, to remind you of your power, to remind you of your abilities to create. And just breathe. Now visualize that you are on a path. You are walking on a path. Maybe it's through your favorite park. Maybe it's through the woods or by the beach, through the mountains. Just envision a beautiful path that slowly moves through a landscape, and you're taking your time. It's a beautiful day, the ideal day for you. And you are walking on this path with your friend called the unknown. The unknown wants nothing more than to be of service to you. The unknown is a gift, and if you will accept it, it can recreate and reinvent and reimagine your life in all sorts of amazing ways. The unknown also holds the solutions to the problems that we as a society have been trying to solve for centuries. What's the solution? I don't know, but I know it's nothing that we've tried so far. Because if we had the solution, it would have worked by now. So walking with your friend, the unknown, on this path, what questions do you have for the unknown? What can it show you or teach you, or where in your life are you willing to invite the unknown to show you another way, to show you the path you have not tried yet, to show you the door you have yet to discover? And as you're walking with your friend, the unknown, just listen, just receive. Maybe it comes in words, maybe it comes in a picture or a visual, maybe it comes in a feeling of something in your body, or maybe you're suddenly reminded of another time in your life. Just allow the responses to come in whatever way they want to. And just breathe and allow. Just feel yourself present with your friend, the unknown. What is there in your life that you want to let go of? What is it that you are really, really ready to release yourself from, but perhaps you haven't known how? Perhaps you're afraid. Perhaps you're holding yourself hostage because you feel like you don't know how to do it, right? Show me how to do it and then I will. What if the unknown can help you with that? Can you unclench your grip on it just a little bit? Can you soften your resistance to it even just a fraction? There you go. And as you continue to walk with your friend, the unknown, we're going to ask it another question. In what way can I begin to engage with you on a regular basis so that you and I can build a stronger relationship? So you're basically asking the unknown, do you want to play with me? Do you want to dance? How can we get to know each other? And all of this is in service of remembering that the unknown can be on your side. Going a little bit deeper now with the experience of the unknown. Can you create a space for it, a permanent space for it within your field? Can you invite it to become a personal part or a permanent part of your personal support team? Along with your guides and your angels and your star family and your loved ones and your animal totems and all of the messengers and guides and helpers. Chaos and the unknown are also a part of the team. Just breathe. So, in the days and weeks to come, in whatever way feels appropriate, in whatever way you feel inspired, see if you can't find a space for the unknown. To even in very small ways, invite it into your life. In what way can you take even small steps, make small choices and little actions to dance and co-create with the unknown? And continue your dialogue, your communication, and your connection with the unknown as a conscious creator, as a divine collaborator. And watch what happens when you allow space for it. And then just come back to your breath. Breathing in nice and deep. Feeling yourself coming back into the room. back into the body with another nice deep breath. Offering deep bows of gratitude to all of the energies and information and helpers that came in today. And just breathe. And as you take another breath, feel yourself fully in the room, in the body, in this moment in time. Take another nice deep breath and give a stretch. Whenever you're ready, you can come back. So take your time coming back, or maybe you want to just stay where you are. That's fine too. And just whatever happens as you move through your days, find some space for the unknown. Even if it's just little things like take a different route to work, right? If you always go right when you leave the driveway or the house, go left, see what happens, right? If you say, oh, I'm going to go to the other grocery store, just little changes. Basically, it's the intention, really what it can offer us is just presence. It's a way for us to just be even more present more often in our day, because I know we've all had this experience. You leave work, you pull out of the garage or the parking lot, and the next thing you know, you're home. Like, I had a 20-minute drive somewhere in there. I don't know how I got home. That's because when we're in those mental ruts that we know so well, we go to sleep. The mind wants to reserve its resources. So the less energy I have to spend being conscious and awake, the better. Because now the mind's in control. And that's all the mind ever wants. Poor thing. It's never going to get it. So in whatever way, you can begin to invite the unknown. Try the brand you've never tried. Like, it can be so simple. I always buy this oat milk. Well, I'm going to try the other one. I recently did that, and the other one was disgusting, but now I know. So I think that if we bring a playful spirit, if we bring an openness and a willingness, we can still be nervous, right? It's like a little kid on the first day of school. I don't know who my friends are. I don't know who I like, but I'm willing to find out. So you can be nervous, you can be uncertain and still be open and present and playful and willing to be surprised, willing to be shown, willing to be like, oh my God, I didn't know it would be so good. Just try. Just try. And the more you do it, the easier it gets. And the easier it gets, the more you want to do it. And then you're going to start to want to challenge yourself. Because it really can be a beautiful experience to dance with these energies consciously and on purpose. And then it's not so scary, right? If I turn to the unknown, if I feel like I've been running from it my whole life, and then I say, okay, stop, do a 180, turn around. Okay, you big scary thing. Here I am. I'm not going to run anymore. What can we do? Not as scary as you think, because it's just you. So much love for all of you. Reminders that there's the Stripe link and the PayPal link if you feel like you want to offer donation. Love it. You don't have to. The Self-Liberators League, the early bird pricing ends on the 29th. So as of March 1st, we go to full price. So if you're interested, you can go to my website, amar.energy, look at the events tab. Instagram is Amar Energy. YouTube is Amar Energy. I think that's all I have of social. Sign up for the newsletter. That way you'll always get the Zoom links. You're welcome, Elisa. So lovely to see all of you. You're welcome, Candy. Have a fabulous week. Enjoy the tail end of, I mean, I can't believe it's like March is not even a week away. Spring is 3 weeks away, 4 weeks. I mean, it's crazy. It's going to be Christmas before you know it. Okay. I love you all. Have a great week. Love you, love you, love you. I'll see you next Sunday. Bye, everybody.